What do you think an engagement ring is? A bribe, a symbol, or some amoebus third option? So, a few months back when I was at NSC, in those golden halcyon years of my innocent and fertile youth, yikers. Back when I was at NSA, they decided to have a school-wide disputatio debate on this following prompt. So there are two Baptists, one lady, one man, that get engaged. The lady was in school pursuing a doctorate for law or general medicine, something expensive, and the dude is like a Chad who's rich, and he is able to afford a 100 grand or whatever the price was, something outrageous, 100 grand engagement ring that he gives the lady. Anyway, the lady she is like, yeah, I want to be a housewife now. So she cuts off her pursuit of education and gives up the scholarships, whatever, puts a full stop on that. And there they are, headed toward marriage. Well, meanwhile, as they're headed toward marriage, the dude gets an idea from educating himself, self-education, not institutionalized education. Hey, I'm a Baptist, and I think that's wrong. Because look at these poor little babies. They really they look so dry. Look at him, his skin's cracking. Maybe I should baptize these babies. So he becomes Presbyterian, Paedo-Baptist, good on him, but that's irrelevant. Actually, it's kind of relevant, but let's continue regardless. He becomes a Paedo-Baptist, and she looks at his conversion there, to Christianity, and says, hey, this is not for me. I'm going to be a heathen little Baptist by myself, thank you very much, and breaks off the engagement. And the prompt kind of is, there's some other fluff, but let's forget the fluff, let's get down to brass tacks. Should she retain the engagement ring, or does the man receive the engagement ring back for the engagement when the engagement is broken off? Well, I gotta say, I liked a lot of the debaters who went up there, personally, but a lot of the debating was really disappointing to me, because they spent basically everyone who went up there kept freaking grabbing the reins of the argument and kept trying to pull it toward themselves in the worst way possible. They set out to control the narrative. Everyone would get up there and rephrase the whole situation that everyone already knew, because they knew the prompt coming into the debate, in their emotionally charged terms. She trusted him. She was betrayed. Then he's like over here baptizing freaking babies, the little infants, and she needs the money for college because she's got to restart that, and she's lost her scholarship. She would have wasted money. She needs the money, so she should have the engagement ring. Yeah, well, he freaking bought that ring. He slaved for hours. He became a millionaire, and he bought the ring. So maybe actually he should keep the ring. And blah 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 blah, freaking blah. It was disappointing to me, because that was a lot of the argumentation, was just restating the prompt in a way as to hopefully farm some sympathy out of the people who hadn't quite made up their minds yet. But that's not the nub of the argument. That's not the nub. Let me show you my nub. Let's pull out the nub of the argument here. So the argument is over what should happen to this, who the engagement ring belongs to. Well, that is entirely dependent on what an engagement ring is. The function of the engagement ring depends on the nature of the engagement ring. If an engagement ring is a pickle, then it's a briny little bit of cucumber that you eat. That's what happens to it. If an engagement ring is something else, then you do something else with it. You catching my drift? That was my drift. So, from what I've thought up and considered, I think there are really two ways of viewing an engagement ring. Maybe there's a third. If so, please think of it. Tell me, let me know in the comment section. But from the way I see it, there's really only two ways of viewing it. And like the little semantics that people try and pursue to phrase something differently and more friendly to their side of the case really ends up just being one or the other, but they'll disagree with how I'm phrasing it. But there are really only two ways. There's a bribe, or a gift, a bribe. So you can kind of tell from the way I'm phrasing that how I feel about it. And then two, a symbol of the pledge made and the marriage to come. So let's break these two down. A lot of what I was seeing from, honestly, kind of both sides, but mainly the one view that has to be held really for you to argue that the lady should keep it is that it's a bribe. Okay, so what do I mean by this? What is an engagement ring? Is it a gift that a man gives a woman right as he's asking her a question or asking her to do something for him that would be advantageous to himself? Is he like, hey, I need a leg up here. I need to try and like really add some certainty to the question I'm posing, because I really don't know what she'll say, so I'm going to try and make her look a little more favorably on me by pulling out the gold, pulling out the bling. Boom, baby. Boom. Boom. Okay? How do you feel about me now? You want to marry me? You want to kiss me? You want to see me naked? Is that what an engagement ring is? The lady probably doesn't want to see me naked, but if I show her this ring, then maybe she'll agree to do that. Is that what it is? Let me gather my thoughts here for a second. So, is a man just trying to sweeten the deal, essentially? Say, hey, will you marry me? No, how about now? Or just trying to up the certainty that the woman says yes with this. So he's gifting her something in the hopes that it will financially or emotionally motivate her to say yes to him. Because that I would say that fits under the definition of bribe. You can call it a gift. Either way, I'm going to call it a bribe. Just substitute gift in your head. So in that case, she would keep it because he's gambling. He's saying, hey, I'm giving you this thing in the hopes that it will make you more likely to stick to your word when you say yes. But it's a gift to you, so you are now receiving ownership of this item. This bribe that I'm giving to you. And if you drop me like a hot potato that mushes on the sidewalk and would look really cool in slow-mo, if she drops you like a hot potato, well, bummer mate, you are out of luck because you gave her that very expensive ring. But she gets to keep it because you gave it to her. That's one way of viewing it. Or here's my thought that an engagement ring is not a bribe. Let's not sully the glorious arrangement being made by such vulgar terminology. I say it's a symbol. A symbol. Psh. Okay, a symbol, as in like a hieroglyph. No, a symbol as in something that represents something. I would say it's kind of the Old Testament That's what an engagement ring is. The marriage and the wedding rings are the New Testament, the new covenant made between the two parties. That is the consummation. It is the fulfillment of all that was looked forward to in the Old Covenant, in the Old Testament. That's what the engagement ring is. It's a looking forward to, an anticipation of the thing coming, and it is the representation of the pledge made between the two parties. That's what I'm saying an engagement ring is. When a man gives a woman an engagement ring and she takes it, he is saying, hey, I want to marry you. And so if you accept this, you're kind of taking your image upon me in microcosm and in a foreshadowing sense for what happens at the marriage when she takes his name and they become one flesh, etc., etc., all the stuff you know about because you're a good little theologian, aren't you? So I'm saying that's what an engagement ring is. In which case I would say the ownership, the possession of the ring is still maintained by the man. And this is because if that's what an engagement ring is, if it's a symbol of the guy who bought it upon the woman, then if she keeps it after the engagement is broken off, and let's say some poorer dude comes along and she falls for him, and he says, I'll go buy you an engagement ring, and she says, no, you don't need to do that. I've got this $100,000 engagement ring. I'll just put it on my finger, and ta-da! We would all recognize that as kind of weird. Like, what? You're using the engagement ring that guy bought you to represent your engagement to this other dude? Yeah, it's weird. If a woman goes out and buys herself a ring with a diamond on it and puts it on that finger, it's not an engagement ring, because an engagement ring represents an engagement. So if she possesses it, oh man, this is getting, I know this is getting a little tough to grasp. Let me scrap that line of thought. Let's just go back to the original prompt. When this dude gives her an engagement ring and she puts that on, she isn't representing herself with the engagement ring. She is not saying, hey, looky here, girlies, this shows that I have an engagement, that I am sort of out here being engaged. That's not what it represents. What it represents is the dude that gave it to me. I'm going to pick up with the idea of the engagement ring representing the person who gives it. So, yeah, basically that's what I wanted to say. So an engagement ring is not merely a representation of the event or something. It's a specific representation of the person who gives the engagement ring, because that's what an engagement is. It's an engagement to a person. It's not an engagement to an idea. A lot of marriages break up because people in their heads are marrying what they think is the idea of a person. They're marrying this idealized impression rather than the actual flesh and blood person in front of them. At least they're not actually marrying the idea, but inside their own head, that's what is going on. And so divorces happen when the person fails to live up to that idealized impression. So that's my main thoughts on what the nature of an engagement ring is. I accidentally booted the fridge. Most of the people back at NSA, it was really funny. It was kind of the two sides of the debate were divided up into like misogynists and misandrous people supporting the lady getting the engagement ring because they're a lady and can imagine how it would feel. And then there were the the misogynists on the other side who are like, freaking men, like, yeah, he should get the ring because he's a man. And that was people kind of grouped off into their affiliations and argued from sentiment. But I think this is drives more toward the core of the actual argument and the stakes, because we're not just arguing about this specific example here about this one lady and this one dude who should get it between the two of them, but that's just a slippery slope from whatever we say an engagement ring is. I say it's a symbol, but and I've obviously phrased this in a way to hopefully make you agree with me. But if you say it's a gift, and I hope you don't call it a bribe, but it is. If you say that's what an engagement ring is, fair enough. I can see how you believe that. And this video wasn't to convince you toward either side. It's to set up that these are the two sides that exist. And so any discussion about what should happen should really be clarified by picking one of these definitions to argue from. If I'm missing the definition, please tell me. Please, doggos, please. But otherwise, carry on. I think it's a symbol. You think it's a bribe. We can still, hold hands.